Okay, so hello everyone. I hope you all had a really nice break just now and a very warm welcome to this session, Getting Involved in Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Alice and I'm the Community Fundraiser at Target Ovarian Cancer. And I am really pleased to be able to welcome our three wonderful speakers today, Christine, Pauline and Bex, who are each going to tell us a bit more about how they got involved with Target Ovarian Cancer and the work that they've been doing to raise awareness or fundraise. I will introduce our speakers properly a bit later on, but before that, I just will take a couple of minutes to run through a few practicalities with you all. This session is taking place as a Zoom meeting, and what that means is that you do have the option to turn your camera on if you'd like to do so. You can do this using the toolbar that you can see at the bottom of your screen. But please be aware that we are recording this session so that we can share the video later on. And we're doing that so that if anyone wasn't able to join us live, or if, for example, they're currently in the campaigning session, they'll be able to watch this back later. So we will do our best to remove personal information from the recording, but it may not always be possible because this is an interactive session. So if you would prefer not to appear in the recording, we would suggest that you just keep your camera turned off. I'm also going to suggest that we save any questions for the end after we've heard from all three of our speakers. But if at the end of the session you would like to ask a question or to share any of your own tips, you can do this in one of two ways. You can either use the chat function that you should see on the right-hand side of your screen, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question that way. If you do that, please just remember to put yourself back on mute once you've finished asking your question, and that's just to make sure that we avoid any feedback. We might not have time to answer every single question that we receive today, but we will do our best to get through a few of them. If there's anything that we didn't have time to answer and you'd still really like to ask after the session, please reach out to our fundraising team who will be more than happy to help you. And we will leave the contact details for you to do that in the chat. Before we start, I'd also like to remind you all that everyone here has different circumstances and different situations, and things you hear might be relevant to you or your loved one, but they might not. And likewise, everyone is at different stages and coping differently. So please keep this in mind and respect everyone's views and concerns. We want to ensure that this session is a safe and positive space for everyone that takes part. If you're taking part as a friend or family member, we ask that you don't share any information about your loved one's specific circumstances without their knowledge and their permission. Anything that comes out of this session is not medical advice and is not a substitute for the information and advice that you've been given by your own clinical team. If anything comes up today that you aren't sure about what it means for you or for your loved one, or if you have any other questions or concerns, then please feel free to call our nurse-led support line to get more information. And again, we will pop the support line number in the conference chat, so you can find that there. If at any point you would like to take a break, please feel free to do so. As I mentioned, we are recording this session, so you can always rewatch or catch up on anything. Right, we only have 45 minutes and I want to give as much time as possible to our three wonderful speakers and to give you all a chance to ask your questions. So now that we've covered all of that, I'm going to get straight into it. So for those of you who may not know, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month takes place in March every year. And it's a really important time for everyone affected by ovarian cancer or working in ovarian cancer to come together and do what we can to push for positive change. One of the ways that we can do this is by raising awareness. Raising awareness is hugely important because, as we heard from Anwin this morning, the earlier a woman is diagnosed with ovarian cancer, the easier it is to treat and the better her chance of survival. There's currently no screening process for ovarian cancer the way that there is for some other cancers. So in order for a woman to be diagnosed quickly, she has to know what those symptoms are, recognise if she might be experiencing them, and then book an appointment with a GP. So the more that we can raise awareness of ovarian cancer and its symptoms, the more women will book that appointment and have ovarian cancer diagnosed or ruled out straight away. There are lots of different ways that you could raise awareness. So one thing you could do would be to hand out our symptoms leaflets to your friends and family. You could put up symptoms posters around your local area, for example, in pharmacies or GP surgeries, or you could ask if restaurants would put them up in the ladies' toilets, for example, really anywhere that you can think of, but just make sure that you have permission to do so. And if anyone would like to order our awareness materials, we'll pop a link in the chat where you can do that. You could share information online, like our symptoms infographics or our symptoms awareness video. You could organise an awareness event or give an awareness presentation, for example, at work. Or you could even contact local media and ask if they would help you raise awareness by sharing an article or radio piece with the symptoms. So that leads me on quite nicely to our first speaker, Christine, who is going to tell you a little bit more about her story and about how she's been raising awareness.
Thanks, Alice. 8 years ago today, I was in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, recovering from surgery for ovarian cancer. I'd been a fit and healthy person who led an active life, climbed hills, and ate fairly sensibly. A diagnosis of ovarian cancer had been a big shock. For several months, I'd been feeling tired and under the weather, but not serious enough to see a doctor. And anyway, I was a teacher, and I was much too busy. We'd booked a week in Wales for half term and hoped to do a lot of walking and climb Snowdon. In the week leading up to the holiday, I lost my appetite, which was very unusual for me. At the same time, I felt full and I appeared to be putting on weight. The bloating got worse, but I just put it down to the constipation that I had been having more frequently. However, by the time I reached Wales, I was becoming more and more unwell, and my tummy was like a drum. I went to see the doctor, but really just so that he could give me something that would sort me out and allow me to enjoy my holiday. I didn't realise back then that bloating, feeling full, and loss of appetite were classic symptoms of ovarian cancer. I was someone who took my health seriously, went for regular mammograms and cervical screenings, but I could not have named a single symptom of ovarian cancer. I was just lucky that the first GP I spoke to was clearly clued up on ovarian cancer and knew what to look for. He listened to me, examined me, brought in my partner, and then told me to abandon my holiday and go home so I could start tests immediately, which is what I did. His quick and decisive action meant that my cancer was caught at an early stage. I was diagnosed within weeks and treated quickly. My chances of survival were therefore greatly improved. However, so many women aren't so lucky. My experience has made me passionate about raising awareness, as there is no doubt in my mind that awareness of symptoms is crucial for a better chance of survival. It really shouldn't be down to luck. I knew I wanted to do something to help raise awareness, but I didn't know what I could do or how to get started. A year after my diagnosis, I attended a Target Ovarian Cancer Being Together Day in Glasgow, where I got lots of information and advice on how I could get involved with awareness raising and campaigning. I started by ordering a variety of materials from Target. First, I handed out symptoms leaflets to friends and family and took the opportunity to chat to them about symptoms and why it was important to go to a GP with concerns. Some asked for extra leaflets to leave on tables at work, staff rooms, or even on buses and trains. Then I decided to ask local medical practice, chemists and other public places if they would display awareness posters and take some leaflets for their waiting rooms and counters. I chose those closest to me, 3 medical practices, 4 chemists, 2 public libraries and 2 council offices, but I hope to go further afield in the future. I usually leave them with 1 poster and 4 or 5 leaflets. I was a bit nervous initially, but most were very receptive to my request and promised to display them. I'm not sure if they've done so. From time to time, I go back with new posters and leaflets. I also gave local GPs information leaflets on online training courses run by Target. I was probably most nervous about this, maybe because my initial thought was, who am I to tell a GP what course he should be doing? At my own medical practice, I spoke to a GP I knew and asked him if he would pass some leaflets on to colleagues. He was happy to do so. At the other medical practices, I just left an envelope with leaflets and a cover note with the receptionist and asked her to pass it on to the practice manager. Again, I can't know what happened next, but I tried. My sisters and a few friends also offered to do the same in their area. Next, I wondered how I could reach a wider audience and decided to get in touch with local and regional newspapers. Sometimes I'd contact them to tell them my own story of the importance of early diagnosis, or sometimes to highlight a particular issue, and in doing so to raise awareness of the symptoms of ovarian cancer. Some didn't reply, some showed interest but didn't follow up, but others did, and that made it all worthwhile. My first experience of telling my story to a newspaper was after the launch of Pathfinder 2016. The Mirror set up the interview via Target, and in many ways that made me feel better about it. The reporter was lovely, interviewing me over the phone and then calling me back a few hours later to check I was happy with what she'd written. However, most of the time it's just been me sending emails to local newspapers. I usually start with a few lines saying who I am and why raising awareness is so important to me. I give them a bit of my story, tell them about any important study or event that's taken place, and provide them with a few recent statistics. It helps, if you can, to mention a personal connection to the area you're targeting, but don't worry if you don't have one. For example, it certainly helped that I knew the then editor of the Northern Times, which covers the area where I used to live and work. Before she retired, she ran 3 articles on ovarian cancer in this newspaper. However, I don't believe for a moment that she would have done so if I hadn't personally contacted her and pushed her to cover a story. On the other hand, I had no real connection with the Press and Journal, which covers a much wider area of the north of Scotland. I maybe just wrote to them at the right time, who knows? Like the Mirror, they interviewed me over the phone and sent out a photographer within the hour, which meant a mad dash to make both myself and the house presentable. I've been quite disappointed with my local newspaper, the Rossshire Journal. They published a short article in Pathfinder in 2016, but not responded to any of my emails since then. However, last year, I attended a virtual surgery with my MSP, where she suggested she get in touch with a local newspaper to help publicise the symptoms and the importance of visiting a GP. The newspaper got in touch immediately and asked for my story, the information I wanted highlighted, and sent yet another photographer out to me. The MSP also contributed a comment, and they included a list of the symptoms. I was delighted. I think MPs and MSPs are generally happy to help by sharing a post on social media or writing a comment for a newspaper article. I'm happy to tell my story and keen to get the message over well, but I'm always anxious before publication. I worry about being misquoted or then missing out something important. They do get some minor details wrong, but overall, I've been very pleased with what they've written and how the message has been delivered. It's easy to feel passionate about issues in private, but I'd never campaigned in public before, so I was quite unsure initially. At the start, I was nervous about asking places to put up posters, nervous about speaking to GPs about online courses, and quite terrified about appearing at a local newspaper. But with the support and encouragement from the team at Target, I have been pleasantly surprised that I've managed to push myself out of my comfort zone and even enjoy it. Above all, it's the objective that drives me. Awareness can save lives and campaigning can raise awareness. As a lucky one, I feel it's the least I can do to ensure that in the future, more women have the chance to survive this disease. If raising awareness is something that you've considered but have been unsure about, I strongly recommend you have a go. Target will provide you with lots of help and advice. For a start, have a look at the campaign's toolkit on their website. There's something for everyone, and you can go at your own pace. Don't be disheartened if a place refuses to put up a poster or take some leaflets, or a newspaper or an MP doesn't reply. Just keep going, and you will have successes and positive responses. If just one person is affected by a leaflet or a newspaper article and goes to a GP with their concerns, then your effort will have made a difference. And if just one letter to an elected representative causes them to affect change for the better, then it's worth all the rejections. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. That was absolutely wonderful. We've had a message from someone saying, love your tenacity, and I absolutely agree. Yeah, amazing work. And I think it's a really important point that just one positive response could make an enormous difference to someone out there. So I hope that's given everyone some inspiration and some confidence that you too can make a difference by raising awareness. Another really key aspect of Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month is fundraising. We wouldn't be able to do any of the work that we do, improving early diagnosis, funding life-saving research, and providing much needed support without the generous donations and fundraising efforts of our supporters. It costs £7.20 to train one GP on ovarian cancer and best practice for early diagnosis. It costs £17 for our nurse-led support line to help one person. And it costs £34 to fund 1 hour of life-saving research into new treatments for ovarian cancer. Every little bit that you donate or fundraise adds up and helps to make an enormous difference. So again, there are a huge number of different ways that you can raise funds. There are far too many for me to list in this presentation, but I will share with you a few of the ideas that are most popular with our supporters. So you could organise a bake sale. These always do really well because people like cake. It sounds like a lot of work, but it can be really simple. All you need to do is get a few friends, family members or colleagues to bake a cake or maybe some biscuits, and then display these somewhere with a couple of our collection boxes for people to pop their donations into. One good tip is to approach your local bakery and ask if they would be willing to donate any of their unsold products at the end of the day, because often these will just go into the bin, so they might be very happy for you to take them off their hands and do something positive with them instead. You could take on our 11,000 steps challenge. So take the 10,000 steps a day challenge a little bit further by walking 11,000 steps each day for 1 month and asking your loved ones to sponsor you. We have sponsorship forms that you can use for this, or you can set up a fundraising page using a platform like Just Giving. If you haven't used Just Giving before, please don't worry. We have a Just Giving guide which shows you how to set up your page and a few tips to boost your online fundraising. You can find this guide along with the sponsorship forms on our fundraising resources page, and we're going to pop the link in the chat for you to find that page. You could ask loved ones for donations to your charity in lieu of birthday presents or perhaps Christmas cards. You could collect cash donations, or again, you could set up a Just Giving page or a Facebook fundraiser for people to make donations instead. And finally, just a few other popular ideas include organising a quiz night, taking on a 5K or 10K run. You could do a raffle, a cycle, a head shave, or if you're feeling really brave, you could even think about a skydive. We have a fundraising guide which is full of even more ideas, ranging from quite simple or easy ones to ones that are a bit more adventurous. So if you'd like to have a look at that, we will again pop the link in the chat for you. We have lots and lots of materials and resources to help you raise funds. I've already mentioned a few things like our sponsorship form and our guides, but we also have things like collection boxes, balloons, wristbands and pin badges. So once again, we will share the link in the chat where you can order those materials if you're interested. We can also help you with things like securing raffle prizes or getting coverage from local media. So it's always worth getting in touch with our fundraising team to see what we can do to help. And we'd really love to hear from you as well. So I would now like to hand over to our next speaker, Pauline, who's going to tell you a little bit about the fundraising that she's been doing.
Hello everyone. In April 2014, I was admitted through A&E, having collapsed, and to receive the most unwanted 68th birthday present that anybody would have wanted, a diagnosis of ovarian cancer. This was after 3 months of feeling very ill and constantly visiting 2 GPs, which just told me I had a blockage, and was given varying forms of laxative. But in the end, obviously, the diagnosis proved them to be wrong. I had 2 bouts of major surgery, including a stoma bag, which thankfully I now don't have. I was able to have a reversal. So from that point of view, all went well. My fundraising for Target Ovarian Cancer, that started in 2017 by taking part with my husband and granddaughter in the London Walk. That's my granddaughter, my husband and myself at the front, and somewhere in there is my son and my daughter-in-law. We were very proud to be part of that poster. At the walk, this is where I met Anne Wynne-Jones for the first time, and she made me feel very welcome. And that was the beginning of my fundraising journey. Since then, we've taken part in the walk every year. It's such fun and such a heartwarming event. Please have a go if you haven't already. The atmosphere is great, and the proceeds, as you know, go to such amazing things for Target Ovarian. I've held lots of coffee mornings, which include plant stores, and jewellery, bric-a-brac, books. Guess how many sweets are in a jar, or the weight of a cake. We usually have quizzes, and of course a raffle. This takes some time, sort of contacting local hairdressers, local garden centres and sports centres, restaurants, florists, but most of them are very kind and donate very substantial vouchers, and they help to boost the raffle prizes no end. I aim to bake as many cakes as I can a few weeks before, get them in the freezer, and then that just leaves me the decorating the day before the event of a busy week. Target have these lovely little toppers, and if you put one of those either side of a cocktail stick, it pushes Target's name forward, and they're quite attractive on your little cupcakes as well. Christmas is time for a mince pie and coffee morning, and I usually do that with a seasonal theme of having some handcrafted goods and Christmas cards, which my card group very kindly, they help out with that for me. And I have a reindeer cake that everybody goes for, and that's quite a money spinner, plus little bags of Christmas cookies, little chocolate balls. Yeah, it's good fun at Christmas, just doing it with a mince pie and a cup of coffee and all the extras. The house and
Sorry, everyone. It looks like we've just lost Pauline for a second. I'm just going to give her a few seconds to see if she joins. But if not, then we can hand over to our next speaker and hopefully come back to her in a little bit. Yeah, let's just continue for now, and hopefully we can come back and Pauline can finish telling us her story in a bit. But for now, I will hand over to the wonderful Bex, who is going to talk about her fundraising challenge.
Thank you, Alice. Hi, everyone. I'm Bex. So my story is my best friend Johanna was only 38 when she was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. We've been friends for almost 20 years, and I won't bore you with now telling you how wonderful she is, but trust me to tell you that she's one of a kind and she's an incredible, special person. So 3 years since her diagnosis, we've all learned so much about ovarian cancer. And personally, I found quite a lot of comfort trying to get the message out now, just to try and educate friends, family, female, anyone I meet generally, just so we can hopefully help women know about the dangers. Johanna early on said that she really liked Target. She loved the idea of kind of getting the message out about the symptoms, because that was really what affected her a lot. She was obviously caught very, very late. So I decided that I really wanted to do something big to try and raise awareness, raise lots of money, but genuinely, most of all, make Johanna laugh. She's got a great sense of humour, and I really wanted to get her engaged and excited about something, particularly with COVID and being in lockdown. So I knew quite early on I'd probably do something running related. I've done a lot of ultra marathons. I run silly distances like 30, 40 miles, all for fun, really. I've never really done any fundraising before. So I felt like I needed to do something bigger, though, just to try and attract as much attention as possible. So the pinnacle of ultramarathon running is a 24-hour challenge. These are really boring. It's never appealed to me. You generally go around in a loop, often on racetracks, for 24 hours. So it was then that I decided that's what I needed to do. So I could kind of attract as much attention and raise as much money. So our friend Daisy offered to help with the logistics. I'm not a naturally organised person. So she helped me kind of get motivated about it and plan it. Unfortunately, in COVID, there was no big races confirmed. So I knew I needed to also train locally, so I couldn't kind of drive off and go into the hills like I would normally to train. So I decided to do a small loop around my local park. My local park is literally next door to where I live, so I've spent a lot of time there. My husband even works there. I've got 2 children, so I spend a lot of time in the park. So I knew it would be incredibly boring. This is that's my husband there, my 2 kids, and that's Daisy. And the fact that I knew it would be so hard and so boring was the attraction, and that would be the challenge for me. So we quickly decided to give it a name to kind of make it into an event. So we called it Target 24 for Target Ovarian Cancer and for 24 hours, obviously. We got permission to use a village green that you can see there. It's a beautiful village green in Cheadle in Stockport. We had a great base. You can see all the Target Ovarian Cancer promotion stuff there. Thankfully, the weather was absolutely amazing, which definitely helped. We used social media, was invaluable. Facebook, Instagram, constantly updating them, which was amazing. Daisy's husband owns a printing company, which always comes in useful for us. So we got loads of amazing leaflets printed out, and then also obviously used all the promotion leaflets from Target. Then we set a target obviously for fundraising. So I was really, really hopeful at the beginning that we would raise about £1,000. I thought that would be absolutely amazing. We hit that so early on, I couldn't believe it. So I just thought, let's just go for something bigger. So we decided to go to 2.4 thousand, so £2,400 to tie in with the 24-hour tagline. And we hit that 3 days before the challenge, which I just couldn't believe. I mean, I was badgering everyone on Facebook on a almost hourly basis, but that worked and we hit the target. But obviously that meant that then the pressure was on for me. I had to get this done. And I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done? Then the weekend of the challenge, it came in June. So obviously I chose June because they're the shortest nights. I thought that would be helpful. I also strangely decided to do it on my birthday. I don't really know what that thinking was, but for some reason I thought it'd be great to do it on my birthday. I think it's because my family and friends would be with me anyway, maybe. So that was why. I don't know. There's all my amazing friends and family. And we had my birthday cake to start off with. That was really nice. That helped me on the first few miles. The weather was perfect, which was great. Unfortunately, Johanna, she lives in Oxfordshire, so she's a good 3-4 hours away from me. So she was quite poorly at the time, so she couldn't make the journey up. She stayed on the phone with me though. She was updating social media, and she did a little party at her house, which was lovely. With all her friends down there, and they had a party quite late into the night actually, and drank to my success. The hardest part of the challenge was definitely the nighttime. These are 3 sketchy pictures. My wonderful husband in the middle, James, there. He helped me. He stuck with me throughout the night time, so I wasn't on my own, which was wonderful. It's a big park, but it's a nature reserve as well, so there's no lighting or anything, so that we had to have head torches and things. So yeah, he helped me. It was the first time we'd left our youngest child overnight. My parents babysit, so we couldn't believe this is what we were doing. We should have just probably stayed at home and slept, to be honest with you. The support of people throughout it was absolutely incredible. I cannot tell you, it was just, it just drove me forward. My friend there, you can see in the picture, she came at sunrise after feeding her newborn baby. She's the night feed, and she said, I'm up, I'm going to come and do a few laps with you, Bex. So that, it's just things like that. It was absolutely brilliant. Another friend was at Costa Coffee buying us coffees when it was open, brought them over to us. I can't lie and say I found it really easy. I didn't. It was really difficult. It's harder than I actually thought it would be. My aim to run a lot of it really quickly disappeared after 3 or 4 hours. And I genuinely, between midnight and 4 a.m, I was genuinely just grateful to still be moving. The psychology of a time race, instead of just running a distance, is really different. And it's not something I particularly enjoyed, because the fact that it doesn't matter how quick you move, you still have the same amount of time left, which is just an absolute killer. Amazingly, I eventually managed to cover almost 60 miles in the 24 hours. That's over 2 marathons. So I was really, really happy with that. Throughout the promotion of the challenge, so we tried to get into the local press. So obviously I'm Stockport, so Manchester Evening News is a massive paper here. We sent press releases out to all the newspapers or the websites, and we literally heard nothing back at all, which we were a bit gutted about, but we got a lot of money anyway, so we thought it's okay. So Johanna was on the phone to me on the last hour and talking to us, and she was really quite cross that we hadn't made the local press. And then lo and behold, on my last lap, a car drove up, stopped, and he said he was looking for a target ovarian cancer event. And I was saying, oh, I think that's me. And it was a photographer from the MEN, which was amazing. So he was there at the finish line for me. I mean, I'd been up for 24 hours. I can't even describe how tired I was. And the fact that this photographer was there, I was like, I just want to sit down. But he made us take pictures, and the articles were amazing. The journalist was amazing. And Johanna said, I need you to print all the symptoms. So I obviously won't be able to see now, but all the symptoms of ovarian cancer are fully printed in there, and targets details are on there. And she said that was really, really important for her to get that out there. So obviously finishing was emotional. I was crying my eyes out, and I was very, very tired, as you can imagine. I managed to have a glass of wine and a burger, thankfully. That was actually during the race. That wasn't even at the end. That was about 9 o'clock on the Saturday night, I think that was, having some chips to keep me going. And yeah, I mean, just a couple of tips for fundraising. I mentioned it before, but definitely social media helped us. It was particularly the updating throughout the challenge. So my husband kindly put on a lot of sweaty, tired pictures of me on Facebook and Instagram stories, but that really, really helped. And we got a lot of donations throughout the night time, actually, in the early hours of the morning. And also the Manchester Evening News said that Johanna's contact, I think Pauline mentioned it, Johanna's personal contact to them made the difference. They said that's what kind of initially kind of attracted them to my story, the fact that she'd made the contact and shared her story. With the help of Gift Aid, we actually raised over £5,000 in the end, which was absolutely incredible. I mean, I would say it was an amazing experience, and I'm really pleased I did it. It was amazing, but I'm adamant I'm never doing another 24-hour challenge again. But it was definitely worth it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Bex. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's such a unique and impressive challenge. We've had lots of messages coming in from people saying absolutely amazing. They can't believe that you went 60 miles. So yeah, just absolutely wonderful, and really wonderful to see the amount of support that you had from your friends and family as well. So thank you again for sharing that. I'm not sure if Pauline has been able to join us again. Pauline, if you're there, could you unmute yourself and say a quick hello, and we'll see if we can hand back to you.
Hello, Alice. Yes, I don't know what happened. My screen suddenly just had a big thing to do with the production across the top. So I just carried on talking, not knowing whether you could hear me or not.
Sorry. Well, thank you so much for persevering and coming back. Let me just hop back through the slides, and if you just want to finish up your talk. You'd mentioned your Christmas pie and coffee mornings, sorry, mince pie and coffee mornings for Christmas, and I think that was about where we left you.
Right.
So carry on from about there.
Okay, right, just where was I after? Yes, just up after that, I was just saying, you know, doing whatever the charity event is I am holding at home. The house and the garden, they're always full of the Target Ovarian banners and balloons, as you can see there. This was my most recent event in September, and also, you know, apart from them promoting the charity, I've always got my T-shirt on, and booklets and flyers. I put those around to catch everybody's eye, showing what Target aim for with our fundraising proceeds. I won't say it isn't hard work getting organised, but it's so rewarding when you can present an incredible amount of money that people have been so kind to give or donate, in understanding how much work Target Ovarian Cancer still want to achieve in either research, training, support or awareness. It's also worthwhile, the hard work, and I feel it's an opportunity for me to give something back and to say thank you for the treatment that I received, which has enabled me to enjoy the past 7.5 years since diagnosis, and to do these things for Target Ovarian Cancer. What is quite an experience is going onto the stations with Alice, doing the bucket collections. Yeah, they're quite interesting and something else that helps boost the charity funds. Perhaps you'd like to come and join us when we get going again. So sorry for the breakdown in the middle. I don't know what that was, but thanks everybody for your time. And it's great fun to do things at home for Target, especially when the weather's nice. You get out the garden and your friends are joining you for a really nice time, and hopefully enjoying all your cakes and the goodies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Yeah, it's amazing to hear the number of different ways that you've got involved with raising funds, and we're really grateful for your support, and also really grateful to you for bearing through those technical difficulties in the middle. So thank you again, and well done. Thank you all for listening. I hope this talk has given you some ideas and some inspiration about how to get involved with raising funds or awareness. We've got maybe just about 5 minutes for questions now. So if anyone would like to ask anything, either to our speakers or to myself, you can either unmute yourself or just pop some questions in the chat. Yes, if you do unmute yourself, please just remember to pop yourself back on mute again once you've finished asking your question, just to avoid that feedback, as I mentioned earlier. So does anyone have any questions? Well, I will start. I would like to ask our speakers, what was your favourite moment from your activities, either raising awareness or funds? I don't know if any of you wants to go first.
I'm happy to go, Alice, first. For me, definitely finishing. There was nothing like it. My legs were in so much pain, and also Johanna was on the phone to me, so there was a big crowd of us. My friends did the last lap with me. And then when they knew the MEN reporter was going to be there, they legged it, like they ran up the road. And obviously by that point, I couldn't run. So I was left on my own, but Johanna was on the phone to me. And I was just, I'm starting to well up a little bit now. I was getting really, really upset. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And upset, obviously, because of her. And it was just a lot of emotion. And then I turned the corner and then I saw everybody. It was amazing. A wonderful feeling. Definitely that.
I can imagine. Thank you for sharing that, Bex.
I think maybe it's just that sometimes people come back and say, you know, I saw that article and it made me think, and I went to the doctor, or I told someone about it, and you know, I saw a leaflet and the doctors, and you know, they say I had a friend who's got similar symptoms and I told her about it. And I think maybe that just makes you think, oh, something good might have come of this. It's just little things like that, I think, that feels that you've done something worthwhile. That's kind of, it's small, but it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think I could say it better myself. You're absolutely right. Those things that feel really small are hugely significant to someone if it helps them get that early diagnosis. So it's all absolutely invaluable. Thank you all again for all that you do.
I'll just come in there if that's all right, Alice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think my most memorable moment really was just taking part in that first walk, and meeting Anne Wynne. She was a clever lady that day. She knew what she was doing, being so friendly, and taking time to chat to me and my family. Invited me up for a coffee one day, and this is what's happened ever since. Lots of coffee mornings at home and lots of walks, and lots of time spent with Alice on the stations. But thank you, Anne Wynne. I wouldn't have had it any other way. So yeah, any of you that can just go grab a bucket, go make a cake, yeah, just go do it and join everybody else, and help so many other people, hopefully, help so many other people to be where we are today, because it's a great feeling being where you are after a few years. Yeah, thanks, Alice.
Thank you, wonderful.